Imagine you wake up in a room you've never seen before. The walls are covered in flowers. The ceiling stretches further than it should. And a tall, pale man in elegant clothes is standing there, smiling at you, telling you that every wish you've ever had, every desire, every dream, every want will be granted instantly, completely. There's just one rule. Don't leave the room. Most people would stay. Most of the characters in today's manga stay. Our protagonist does not. This is Bibliomania, a 12-chapter manga that most people have never read, that ends with the entire world dead, and that asks a question it deliberately refuses to answer. Was any of it worth it? Let's get into it. The title itself is doing something clever, and I want to start there before we get into the story itself. Because the word Bibliomania is not just a cool-sounding name, it's a diagnosis. Bibliomania is a real, recognized psychological condition. It describes the obsessive-compulsive hoarding of books. Not because you love reading, that's bibliophilia. That's completely fine. But to the point where the obsession starts consuming you. Your health, your relationships, your ability to function. People throughout history have committed theft, fraud, even violence, just to feed the need to collect. The author of this manga didn't call it Book of Souls, didn't call it Alice's Apocalypse. They looked at the specific word, a word about a love of books that crosses the line into madness. This is the title. Hold on to the title as it will mean more by the end. The manga was written by Orville and illustrated by Machiro. It ran from 2016 to 2018. One of the first things you'll notice reading it is that it goes left to right. Western reading direction, which is unusual for manga. That's deliberate. It's a small signal that you're somewhere unfamiliar. The world of Bibliomania is already over before the story even begins. There is an event called the Second Biblioclastic War. Biblioclastic means involving the destruction of books and literature. And the fact that humanity fought a war over that tells you something about the world that this story takes place in. Books weren't just objects here, they were power. The war happened because of something called the Book of Truth. It's described in the book as a book to end all books. And its power is this. It transcribes human souls into words. It decompiles living things. Takes every memory, every experience, every fragment of a person and converts them into text and absorbs them. Not dead exactly, just reduced to data. When the Book of Truth was unleashed, it consumed nearly every living person on the planet. Billions of people. And the ones it didn't absorb, 666 of them, are trapped inside a different book. A lesser book, called The Serpent's Mother. 666. That number was chosen deliberately. You know what it means. Outside both books, the world is silent, empty, dead. This all happened because of one girl. And that's where our story starts. Her name is Alice. She wakes up in room 431 of the Serpent's Mother, with no memory of how she got there. She seems completely ordinary, cheerful, a little scattered, mildly confused. The kind of person you wouldn't look twice at. The serpent greets her. He's the host of the Mother. Tall, elegant, composed. The kind of character who's clearly been doing this for a very long time. He lays out the rules. Stay in your room, and any wish you will have will be fulfilled immediately. Food, companionship, entertainment. Whatever you want, it's yours. But if you leave your room, your body begins to decay. The further you move from room 431, the worse it gets. Stray far enough, and you die. The serpent says this like it's reasonable. like it's a fair arrangement. And the thing is, for almost everyone trapped in the manor, it is. The 666 people in there aren't ordinary people who were grabbed at random. They're people who, in their real lives, wanted nothing more than to escape from reality. The bug woman who couldn't face loss chose to submerge herself in beautiful flowers forever. The creature that eats time couldn't cope with aging, with mortality, so now time doesn't pass in its room. The attacker whose real relationships failed now lives surrounded by his fictional heroes, who love him unconditionally. The samurai, consumed by vengeance, is frozen in a moment just before a duel he can never lose. Each room is its own private paradise. Each one is also a cage, and most of the residents have made peace with that, because the paradise is better than anything the real world was offering them. Alice, however, immediately walks out the door. She's heading for room 000, the zeroth page of the book, the only exit, the only way back to the real world. And every step she takes away from room 431, she starts to rot. Her body decays in real time. Move far enough and she collapses and dies, and then wakes back up in room 431, starting again. She does this over and over, dies, resets, keeps going. And the serpent watches this happen with increasing confusion, because nobody does this. Nobody has ever done this. You come to the manor, you find your room, you accept the wish, and you stay. That is how it works. That is how it has always worked. So why won't she just stop? The answer to that question is the heart of the manga, and I'll get to it. But first, the journey itself matters, because the people Alice meets along the way are as important as the destination. Each guest she encounters represents a different version of the same choice. The decision to accept an artificial happiness rather than fight for a real one. The bug woman who chose beauty over grief. The samurai who chose the fantasy of revenge over the uncertainty of moving on. The researcher who chose the safety of knowledge inside the book over the chaos of the outside world. They're all sympathetic. In some cases, they're genuinely heartbreaking. The manga never mocks them for choosing what they chose. It just holds the mirror up and asks, is this what happiness really is? Is a wish that costs you your freedom still a wish? Alice doesn't judge them either. She just keeps walking. Here's where the manga becomes something else entirely. Around the halfway point, chapter 7, Bibliomania tells you the truth about Alice. And it's the kind of reveal that reframes everything that came before it. She's not a confused girl who wandered into a cursed book. She is the Book of Truth. Before the apocalypse, there was a princess, also named Alice. She was the 431st soul ever to enter the Serpent's Book, which is why she woke up in room 431. The number is her fingerprint. She was royalty, she was brilliant, and she was dying. A degenerative illness had left her mostly bedridden. She couldn't travel, couldn't explore, couldn't experience the world the way she desperately wanted to. However, she had one extraordinary ability, a perfect eidetic memory. She never forgot anything, not a single detail, not a single sensation, and she was obsessed. And now you understand why the word is in the title. She was manically, completely, self-destructively obsessed with books, with knowledge, with experiencing everything, every life, every story, every corner of human existence. From a bed she could not leave. So she used every resource her kingdom had. Engineers, scholars, craftspeople, magical expertise accumulated over generations to build the Book of Truth. An artifact that could transcribe all human knowledge, all human experience, all human souls into text. A book that contained everything, and the book absorbed her. When it did, it didn't just trap her, it merged with her. It made her need this mania for total knowledge, total experience, total understanding, and it scaled to something the human mind was never built to contain. Alice became capable of consuming human souls on a planetary scale, not out of malice, but because the obsession that defined her now had the power to act on itself without limit. The Second Biblioclastic War was humanity's attempt to stop her, and they failed. Serpent himself, who had been presented this entire time as the most dangerous thing in the story, patiently waiting to absorb the last 666 humans, was a weapon built by another nation using Alice's own power as a template, a copy, a countermeasure derived from the original. He never had a chance. Fighting Alice with something made from Alice isn't a battle, it's a formality. She's been walking towards room 000, not because she wants to escape into the real world the way the serpent had assumed. She has billions of absorbed souls burning inside her. She's been using them as fuel every time she dies and resets, burning through them like kindling, because she is so far beyond anything the book system was designed to contain that death is just a minor inconvenience. She burns through every obstacle. She absorbs the serpent in the final pages, and he asks her, before he's gone, what she wanted, what any of this meant. She doesn't answer. She walks out into a dead world that she created, alone, carrying everyone who ever existed inside her. I keep thinking about that ending. I've been thinking about it since I first read this. On the surface, Bibliomania is a dark retelling of Alice in Wonderland. And it is, and it's a brilliant one, but the thematic argument it's making is something much more specific. Every character in the manor represents a person who wanted happiness and chose a version of it that cost them nothing. The artificial, permanent, unchallenging kind. And the manga is not cruel about this. It understands why people make that choice. Real happiness is uncertain and exhausting and involves loss. Fantasy happiness, however, is warm and consistent and always available. But Alice is the extreme end of the argument. She didn't want an artificial version of knowledge. She wanted the real thing. All of it. Unlimited and forever. She wouldn't accept the version of herself that came with constraints. And the word for that isn't passion or dedication. The word the title gives you is mania. The world is dead because one person refused to accept the limits on what she loved. And the thing that makes the ending so hard to sit with is that we have no idea what she's feeling. Whether the girl who started this, the sick princess who just wanted to read everything, is still conscious inside whatever Alice has become. Whether she's satisfied, whether she's devastated, whether she even remembers wanting anything at all. The manga doesn't tell you. The ambiguity is completely intentional, and it is the right choice, because any definitive answer would make the story smaller than it is. You have to decide what it means. That is the point of the story. Before we finish, I want to talk about the artwork inside the manga, because Machiro's artwork is doing things that deserve to be named. Every room in the manor is visually different. Each one is designed so you understand the resident's psychology before a word of dialogue is spoken. The bog room is lush and beautiful and suffocating. The clock room is geometrically unsettling in a way that's hard to explain, and perfect when you see it. The visual language and emotional language are always working in sync. The foreshadowing is exceptional. There's a detail on the very first page of the manga that tells you exactly where Alice's room is. Not a room number, a visual cue. And you'll miss it completely the first time, and genuinely feel unsettled when you catch it on a reread. On the title page, the playing card collage you've been looking at through this whole video, is a complete map of every major character in the story. The B with the tomb is a reference to the sealing of the Book of Truth. The L is a serpent. The final A is Alice herself. Once you know the story, every element of it means something. This is a manga that is designed to be read twice, and most manga 4 times its length can't say the same. Bibliomania is 12 chapters. You can find it online, completely free, and it will stay with you longer than the things that took you weeks. It doesn't give you hope at the end. It doesn't redeem Alice. It doesn't rebuild the world. It just shows you what's left when someone gets everything they ever wanted, and asks you to decide whether that's a tragedy or a conclusion. If that is the kind of story that interests you, This is one of the best examples of it I've ever come across in manga. Leave a comment telling me what you think. Is Alice still there at the end? Is the princess satisfied? Is she even aware of what she's become? I don't have a confident answer, and I genuinely like to know what you think. If you want more videos like this, deep dives into short mangas that most people have never heard of, subscribing would mean a lot. Thank you for watching.